Perfect. So
Okay.
I'm sure more people are going to trickle in a little bit, but thank you guys so much for joining. We're super excited for this lesson on lighting. I mean, well, I was just talking with Eddie right now. There's such a significance in lighting, such an importance. Some people kind of look over it when they're starting off. They want to go straight to photo, straight to video, but we know that lighting is crucial. So we're super excited to have this class. And honestly, we're joined by one of the goats here. We're joined by one of the greatest. Um, at least in my opinion, when I see his photos, I really love the emotion that he captures, especially in portrait photography. And so that's Eddie. We're joined by brother Eddie Marino, and
Okay.
he's been a photographer for about 20 years. So he's got plenty of experience, and his mentor is actually Lindsay Adler, who is a New York fashion photographer, and she's also a Canon ambassador. So that's the person that taught Eddie a lot of what he knows now and practices. So before I pass it on to Eddie, we're just gonna go ahead, come before the Lord, give this meeting to him, and then I'll pass it on to Eddie. So let's just bow our heads real quick and we'll pray. Lord Jesus, we come before you. We give you all the honor, all the glory. We thank you for this time of meeting, for this opportunity to learn about lighting. Lord, we just pray that you would bless the teacher today, that you would bless Eddie, that you would use him, Lord Jesus, to speak to us, and that we would take this, Lord Jesus, back to our churches, that we would use it, incorporate it in our lives, Lord, and just to make your kingdom grow, Lord, and to use it for your honor and your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Eddie, go ahead and take it away, bro.
Awesome. What's up, everybody? I don't know how many people we have here, but I do want to greet you all. Um, I wanted to start with, of course, one of the most complicated things, which is going to be the inverse square law. Now, the problem here is going to be if not everybody joined yet, they're going to miss one of the most crucial parts, right? So, can we do something real quick? We'll hold here, but can we do something real quick? Let's say, can we do like 3 minutes or 2 minutes of them just asking some questions? I don't have to answer them right away, but just so I can gauge where we're at and what people are looking for, like whoever's in here right now. Is that cool with you, Caleb?
Yeah, absolutely.
That way we give a little bit more time because I don't want to go into inverse square law without, everybody here. Go ahead.
Right. Anyone have any questions for Eddie? Anything about lighting, photography, video?
Yeah, like whatever they expect to get out of it or something that they've been struggling with. That way I can make sure to cover it during this class.
That's great. Yeah, guys, feel free to unmute or send it into the chat. Anything you guys interested in.
Yeah, Eddie, would it be easier to put in the chat, or would you want us to like kind
Well,
of?
because I can't read it, it's all the way over there. I mean, Alex could probably do it for me, but it'd be a little more complicated. But if they could unmute and talk, I could hear them just fine.
Okay, okay. I
Or
think
if you want to read them for me, Max, that'd be cool too.
yeah, okay. I think I have a question actually. Or actually, I don't know if it's a question, but just I I guess in different lighting situations, like where to look to light, like how do you shape lighting in different situations, like just say you're outside, what to look for exactly when it comes to lighting. Like just say you're in a room, how can you shape the lighting the best way? What are like the three, I guess, rule of thumb just to shape the lighting to the best way possible, if that makes
Bro,
sense.
that's such a great question because with more experience in different scenarios, the
Mhm.
faster you get at setting yourself up, right?
Hmm.
And something that's helped me a lot is doing weddings. Weddings are very unpredictable. Like you don't know what venue you're going to be in, if it's going to be outside, if it's going to be inside, even if it is outside, how the weather's going to be, overcast, sunlight, how the sun's going to hit, what type of day it is, what time of day it is, where the sun is coming from. So all that plays a big role. And I like to look at it this way, like you look at the strongest source of light first. Like where's the strongest source of light coming from? Sometimes it's coming from above, from like a fluorescent light. Sometimes it's coming from a window that's open. Sometimes it's coming from a cloudy sky, coming straight down, right? And once you get that information, you kind of use that as what we consider what we call a key light. And we're going to talk about that when we get into the main shooting area. But a key light's what you look for first. Now, being a photographer many years, I like to bring my own key light. Like I bring it with me. So I don't want to depend on a room that may or may not have a key light. So for sure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring one big light source that's going to be my key light, and then I can position my subject in that room according to the inverse square law, which we're going to talk about now. So
Mm.
that's what I would do. I would first look at the strongest light if I don't have a light and figure out how I'm going to make that light look good on someone. And we'll talk about that. Or I bring my own key light and light them in the space according to how the room's ambient light looks in order for them to really, really pop out. That whole
Mhm.
like three-dimensional feel happens when you have a key light and a rim light. So we're going to
Mm.
get into all that. So that's a great question, though. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have some questions in the chat here. Jose's asking, what checklists of lights would you look to have in a shoot? And he put, for example, key light, main lights, etc.
Cool. So every shoot is different. So if I was gonna do a headshot, a headshot shoot, I know I need my 5 lights. Like I have my go-to setup for it. If I'm gonna do a family shoot, I'm gonna make sure that I bring large modifiers, which we're gonna talk about today. The larger the modifier, the bigger the light source, the more people I can hit with that light. I would also bring a C stand, knowing that I can get my light nice and high and far away enough. If I use a regular stand, it's not gonna go high enough, or I'm not gonna get the angle. But if it's a portrait, then I'm fine with a regular size light, a regular power light, and a regular non-C stand light, which is an upright stand. So it really depends on the situation I'm in that's going to dictate what I bring with me. Now, if I have no idea, what I'm getting myself into, first of all, I would never do it. I'm not leaving my house without knowing who I'm shooting, what I'm shooting for, and what the client expects, which we could talk about that as well after. But let's say I don't have any idea what I'm getting myself into. And I've done this when I had to shoot like at a venue, at a live performance venue. I bring at least 3 or 4 lights with me, 3 or 4 light stands. Some of my lights are battery powered. The others, I would have to bring extension cords for. So I only bring 25-foot cables with me, and I also do extension cords. So that's kind of like how I prepare myself. 25-foot long cables. Your lights that you buy will never come with 25-foot cables. You have to special order those from Amazon. Get yourself long 25-foot cables because you're going to use them. You're going to need them. So that's kind of like my go-to. Bring at least 3 lights with me, long cables and extension cords, and C stands. That's what I would do no matter where I'm at. I'm gonna make it look good.
Mm. Okay. And then Jose is asking some other questions, but I'm gonna jump to Juan. I'll go back to Jose. Juan is asking, what are common lighting mistakes beginners make, and how do I avoid them?
Okay, common lighting mistake that I always see is using hard light when you want soft light or using soft light when you want hard light. So understanding the type of light that you're using is kind of going to give you the outcome that you desire. So we're going to talk about hard light and soft light today. We're going to talk about angles of light as well. So I think we're going to cover that portion, but it's definitely a beginner. I can tell as a beginner when he uses the wrong modifier for the wrong desired look. So you have to know your modifiers. So we'll dig into that today. So that's a great question.
Cool. And Jose's asking, what do you look for when you are in an outside environment? Do you use foldable diffusers outside?
Cool. Yeah, I definitely do use foldable diffusers and reflectors, mostly reflectors other than diffusers, because diffusers, even if you have like a big diffuser, if you have more than one person, it's hard to diffuse all of them, and then you have to hold it, and then it like falls and hits your subject by accident. Like I don't like to mess too much with the diffusers. So what I do is I face my subject away from the sun, and then I use it as a reflector. So I reflect from the sun, reflect onto the subject. The other cool thing is a lot of people don't realize we have reflectors all around us. If you look at a white wall, or if you look at a concrete wall or a gray wall, anything that's neutral in color, even a beige wall, like a tan wall, and the sun is hitting it, if you position your subject away from that wall and you stand in the wall and let the sun hit the wall and then the wall lights up your subject, you'll get some really nice shots. I actually just did that with a graduation shoot um, like 2 days ago that I did. And I used the wall to light my subject. And I did still use a little bit of a reflector with me as well, just to get some light under his eyes. So I'll show you that picture if you remind me. I'll pull it up. It's in my Dropbox somewhere.
Cool. All right, we do have a couple more questions. Do you want to get into your presentation, or do you want to just keep
So
it?
are you guys comfortable with the amount of people we have? Are we looking good? Or do you want to wait a little bit?
Yeah,
Or
I
what's up to
think
you
let's
guys?
just go for it. Yeah, just go for it. They could
Okay,
always watch
cool.
the recording.
All right, all right. So let's start. So sorry about if you asked
All
a
right.
question, we need to get to it. We're gonna get to it at the end. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah, we'll
Okay,
get to
inverse
it.
square law. So you can go ahead and go full screen. All right, perfect. So the inverse square law says that the light fall off rapidly with the distance from the source. Okay, the source being the light bulb. Specifically, when you double the distance of the light source the light's intensity becomes 1/4 as strong. Okay, so you lose 1/4 power. So we're going to go ahead and show you an example of this, and it's very complicated. When you see it, this looks complicated. You see percentages, you see fractions, you see distance from light to subject, but I'm going to break it down as best as possible. So if your light source here being a Profoto at 0 distance at 1 foot, it's 100% power. So whatever you have within that foot in front of that light source, you're at its full capacity of power. However, when you move 1 more foot back, that's doubling the distance from 1 foot to 2 feet, you lose 75% of your power. So you're only at 1/4 now. So if you were at 100% at 1 foot from the light, like think about how close that is, right? Like 12 inches. When you get to 24 inches from that light, you lost 75% of the power of that light source. Very important to understand. And we'll get to it when we get to the studio. You'll see it in live action. Where it really makes no difference or less of a difference is the further out you go from that light source. So if you look at the chart, when I get to that 5 foot away, when you see 5 foot away, I'm at 1/25th of the power that I had at 1 foot. If you looked at 4% to the 6 foot away, only drops 1%. And then when you look at 7 feet, it only drops 1%. And at 8 feet, it doesn't even drop a percentage. So if you look from 5 to 8 feet, that like distance, which is 8 times the difference, there's not much of a difference in light that hits you from that 4.5 foot mark to 8 feet. That's going to be really important to learn and understand as the class moves on, because you're going to identify the distance between the light source, your subject, and your background. So these 3 are going to play a huge role in how your light looks on your subject. It's the light source distance from your subject, and then your subject from the background. All right, I hope you guys got it. If you need me to stop and explain anything, just let me know. Okay, so we're going to go through different types of light sources. The most famous and free light source is the sun. So natural light. Natural light is basically the sunlight. It does get diffused sometimes when it is cloudy, but like I said before, you can use walls and other things to diffuse it or reflect it, okay? Then we have artificial light sources. These are light sources like our tungsten lights, like our fluorescent lamps, like our LEDs. These are things that you plug into a wall. They're pretty much, you can modify them. You can do whatever you want with them. You can also consider some of the ambient light that's in the room as artificial light, light that's already in the room, like the bulbs or any kind of fluorescence that's above. You do have speed lights or flashes. These are those little lights that you guys use on top of your camera. That's one way of lighting a subject. You could also take those off camera with a trigger, and you can light those as well. Then my favorite, which are the studio strobes. Now, studio strobes, in my opinion, are the best to work with, because the more light your camera gets, these are the most powerful. So the more light your camera gets, the clearer and better your quality from your picture is, from your image. And I'll give you an example. Those of you that already took Caleb's class before about properly exposing and using the exposure triangle, you'll know that the higher your shutter speed, the more sharp it's going to be, because you're going to have less motion blur. And if you bring up your aperture, I don't know if you guys know this, but your lens has a sweet spot where it's the sharpest, and it's usually in between 8 and 9 or 8 and 10 aperture. So if your camera is like your lens is like 3.5 or 4 to like 22, somewhere between that like 9 to 10 is like your sharpest point. Every lens has a sharpest point. And the cool thing about using more light is you can drop that aperture down and get to 8 or get to 10 and still have enough light that it's still going to look better and sharper than it would have if you would have had less light and opened up your aperture more. So we'll get to that, and you guys can ask more questions about that later. Okay, let's get into light modifiers. So light modification pretty much is broken into two different scenarios. One is going to be a reflective light source. This is when your light source bounces off of a surface, and the bounce off of that surface is what lights your subject, okay? So when it bounces off something and then it hits your subject, that's called a reflective surface. Now, if you diffuse it, that means your light source goes through your diffuser, which in most cases is like a soft white linen or soft white fabric. It goes through it to soften the light, so when it hits the subject, it's not as harsh. And we will talk about hard light and soft light in a few seconds. I did list umbrellas here because you do have an umbrella that could do both reflect and diffuse. And I have some of the umbrellas there that will show you guys. You can shoot through a white umbrella, or we have another umbrella that's specifically just for reflecting. You can shoot at the inside of it and it shoots out and reflects the light back. You also have gels, so you can modify the different colors of your light source to create your desired look. So sometimes, and this is mostly used with like music videos or interviews where you want to light up the background so you guys can see like behind me. You want to put me full screen real quick? Just go to one. So if you see behind me, you can see that we're using a blue light source back there. Now that's a full RGB light, but you can always get your original white light and put a gel on it to do that, just in case you don't want to spend RGB money. Because when you start getting into big lights and higher wattage, you're going to spend more money if it's RGB. But you can also buy like a $10 piece of fabric that's called a gel, put it on top and change the color. So that's cool. All right, let's continue. So here are some of the modifiers. You'll see that we have a beauty dish. Top left, we have a silver umbrella and a white umbrella. Those two umbrellas are not shoot-through. They're reflective umbrellas. The next umbrella is a white umbrella. That is a shoot-through umbrella. Then you have what you guys see a lot in photo booths, that little circle white diffuser. There's a light inside of that and it diffuses the light. So that's a diffuser. Then you have the soft box right next to that. It looks like a 2x2. That's a diffuser as well. The light goes through that fabric. Then you see no modification. This is just a reflector. These usually come with your light bulbs and you can just like put it on and it kind of clones your bulb. But that's like the hardest light you can get. There's no diffusion and the reflective source is just angling your light straight ahead. And then you have a strip softbox there, which is just a bigger version of that softbox you see. All right, so let's talk about lighting styles. So I'm going to talk about the four most important lighting styles here. And we're going to start with Rembrandt. Rembrandt is the most famous. You will see this lighting style in movies all the time. If you guys pause a movie or pause an interview, you're going to see one of these styles of lighting, and it's either going to be Rembrandt or Loop. And I'll show you guys what Loop looks like. But let's explain Rembrandt first. So Rembrandt was an artist. I don't know what year, and don't quote me on the year, but it was a long time ago. And when he would paint, he would purposely use window light to light his subject while he was painting. And he would have their nose shadow triangle underneath the subject's eye. So that's what creates the Rembrandt look. All of his paintings, if you look up Rembrandt, has a soft triangle here. And that's basically the light source. Actually, if you look at the light, go full screen on me. I think I could Rembrandt me right here. Something like that. Am I Rembrandt now? Do I have the triangle? I can't tell. You guys might be able to see it. There you go. There. So you can see it. And if I turn a little bit more, we're going to get into Loop, which you can still see a soft shadow, but when it touches my cheek. So I'll show you guys what Loop looks like here. So this is loop lighting. Loop lighting means there's no more triangle inside of that cheekbone. Now it connects with the mustache or lip part of your face. So we have Rembrandt that has the triangle and there's shadow. And then we have Loop that connects the triangle to the face, okay? And then we have Butterfly. Butterfly you'll see a lot in beauty photography. This is a male, but I wanted to show this picture because it shows the best shadows from what I found. And when you look at this picture, you see that there is actually a small shadow under his nose and his chin. That nose shadow that you see looks like a butterfly, and that's why they call it butterfly. There's also another term for this. It's called paramount. So this could be called paramount or butterfly, okay? And the last one that we're going to cover is split lighting. You'll see this a lot with scenes in movies or interviews when you want to make them look more mysterious. You only light half of their face. The other face is kind of in shadow. So that's pretty much the four styles of lighting. I'll go through it one more time. You have Rembrandt, which is the triangle underneath the eye. Then you have Loop that connects into the face. So this is just a slight variation of Rembrandt, literally 2 inches goes from Rembrandt to Loop. We have Paramount or Butterfly, which is the light above the person's head, creating a shadow directly under their nose and their chin. And then you have split lighting. These are the most 4 popular ways of using light on someone's face. Now we'll talk about hard light and soft light. Hard light is pretty much what we see when we have harsh shadows. The shadows are sharp. That means you could actually see the line of the nose or the line under the eyes of the shadow. You'll notice this a lot if you take a picture outside in the sunlight and it's somewhere between like 11 and 2 o'clock. The sun is at the highest point and it'll just come straight down, making your eyebrows give your eyes a big raccoon eye shadow down here, and your nose will give a nice shadow under the lip. That's really hard light. And another tip with understanding hard light is the smaller the light source, like when the source of the light is very small, the light is harsher. However, when the light is nice and big, it becomes softer. Why? Because the light then wraps around your face because the light source is bigger. So that gives us soft light. Soft light is mostly diffused light. It's almost 100% going to be always diffused light or reflective light. Here you can see that the effects from hard light to soft light being on the left side of your screen, you can see the sharp line of that jaw underneath her neck. You see that sharp line of that jaw underneath the neck? And then you could see where her nose is. You can see that sharp circle around her left nostril, or her right nostril, but for us is her left side. But if you look at soft light on the other side, you get the Rembrandt. It's still a little loopy because I see some light on that lip. You see that loop, but it's soft. The shadows are not sharp. The shadows almost dissolve on that face. And if you look at her skin texture, it's also not as glossy as the hard light. So you want to make a choice here. Are we going to use hard light for our subject? Or are we going to use soft light for the subject? Hard light is usually designed on, or I would only use it for people with really good skin, or for guys, for men, because men look good in harsh shadows. If you put hard light on women, they will not like this. They're going to see every single imperfection, every single wrinkle, every single pimple. Okay. So with guys, since they have more texture in their face or they have beards, it looks really cool when you use hard light. So keep that in mind. Try to stay away from hard light if you're shooting women that want to be flattered nicely. Now, if you want to shoot something that requires hard light because you want her to look tougher, or like she's doing weight workouts or something like that, you want to give it that gritty feel, then go ahead and use hard light. You'll see in different examples throughout the rest of your life after this class when people are using hard light and soft light from now on, because you'll see how sharp the shadows are, how soft the shadows are, where that light was positioned. Was it paramount position? Was it Rembrandt? Was it loop lighting? Was it, a beauty photography? Did they use two lights? Did they fill in light? So we're talking about all that in the next setup, because now it's time to shoot. I wanted to get here at 10:20 and I almost did it. So that's
Eddie,
awesome.
real
Yeah,
quick. Just sorry, Jose had a question, I think, about like sharp and
cool.
stuff like right now.
About what? No, go ahead.
Yeah, he's asking for cinematic purposes, does sharp light or soft light work better?
You know what? It depends on the scene. And I'll explain why. Because it's cinematic doesn't mean it has to be thriller or dynamic or, action, because it could also be romantic comedy. You know what I mean? So with romantic comedies, you're going to see them but soft light. If you watch any soap opera, any romantic comedy, any narrative that is more dramatic or lighthearted or comedic, you're going to mostly see soft light in cinema. Now, if you see a picture that's more of a thriller or a picture that's more of a horror movie, then you're going to have way more hard light, because it's going to create those shadows. It's going to create more texture in the face. So it would depend on what you're using it for. It always depends on what you're using it for and what your desired look is. And that's really what we're going to investigate today, is how we could achieve these goals of hard light, soft light, paramount, Rembrandt, rim light, fill light, what kind of light we're going to use. Is it LED? Is it RGB? That's what we're going to figure out today. And then once you know how to use it, you'll be able to create whatever you want. And if you guys have any pictures that you guys can Google right now, and it'd be really fun if you guys have a picture or you saw a picture, you're like, how did they shoot this? What kind of lights did they use? What modifiers did they use? Guys, send it to Caleb ASAP. And before the class is over, we'll open those pictures and I'll let you guys know exactly how they lit it just by looking at it. And you guys should be able to do the same thing by the end of this class. If anybody has any questions before we start going wide and start shooting, let me know. But I wanted to make sure we have enough time for Q&A at the end as well.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're good to shoot. But yeah, let's try to look some of those photos. That'd be sick to see.
Yeah, yeah. So we can like investigate. So if you guys want to really challenge me, find some
Yeah,
like crazy pictures.
I'll find some.
Um,
I'll find some.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Find like 2 or 3 crazy views, and then we'll go through them, and I'll tell you exactly where the light position, what modifier it was, what height, angle, and distance it was as well. All right.
I'm gonna send you one of my pictures. See if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can.
yeah. Oh, that'd be dope. Yes, do that, please. That'd be fun.
Okay, so yeah, you can move on. I think we're good for questions.
Cool. All right, let's go. Let's go. Camera 2. Yep, we'll switch that. And for those of you guys that joined in, sorry if you missed inverse square law, but that's what we're going to cover first when we go into the whys. So go to channel 1. All right, so we're here at the studio, and this is Alex's studio. It's my friend Alex. He was nice enough to allow us in his space. This is his podcast studio, which he also does photography in. So he had all the equipment here. So he was awesome enough. So I want to thank him publicly just to let you guys know this is the man, and this is the reason why we're here today doing this class, because he allowed it. All right. So thank you to Alex. And now we'll start with something very simple and very easy. So we're just gonna do, let me tether real quick. So let me set up my tether. Yeah, you could 3 and then PMP. Okay, cool. So that's the tether. So you guys can still see, I hope you can still see like where we're at. If anything, we could like go back to full screen and go back to the computer. So that computer is gonna be tethered to my camera. So what I'm gonna do is, this is gonna be a very, very basic shot of just Alex in front of the wall, and we are going to turn off these lights. Can we turn these lights off? So we don't have, just all the lights have to go off so you guys could really get what we're doing here. Okay, so it's going to be pretty dark. All right, so you guys might not be able to see me, but I'm here. I promise, I'm here. Okay, so Alex is about 3 feet from the wall and 3 feet from the light. So if we look at the light source, and I'll go full screen real quick just so you guys can see it. So if you look at the light source here, we have Alex from the wall about 3 feet, okay? And then he's about 3 feet from the light, which makes the light about 6 feet from the wall, okay? So that's our first setup. That's the first setup we're gonna do. I didn't calibrate my camera at all yet, so this picture might be terrible. All right, Alex, look up, look straight. All right, cool. So this is pretty much a picture of Alex getting lit in what I would consider loop lighting. Okay, this is loop lighting. And the wall itself is getting hit by the same light source. Here's where it gets really fun. If I wanted to darken my light source from the background, I need to separate Alex from the background. However, I need to maintain the same distance of light from Alex's face and the light source. So I'm gonna move the light 3 feet back and Alex 3 feet back, all right? So we're all gonna move back. The wall's gonna stay exactly where it's at. A little bit more. Okay, so the only thing I moved was Alex and the light. Okay, so let's investigate what just happened. Alex's exposure did not change. His face is lit up the same exact way. What changed was the background's light. So because we separated Alex from the background, but did not separate Alex from the light, we didn't have to change our camera settings. We took the picture and we were able to change the background's exposure. And here it's going to get even more fun. We're going to now feather the light. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how we feather the light here. So I'm going to aim this light across his face. Look straight so I can see you. Nah, you're looking good, bro. You're looking good. Okay, look straight. Cool. And chin down just a little bit. So now look what I just did. What color is that background? Sorry. What color is the background? Somebody let me know. It's black. Pitch black. Did I change the distance from him to the wall on this one? No. All I did was change the feathering, which is the turning of the light away from the wall a little bit. Still being lit the same way. Now we're getting that Rembrandt feel. You can see the shadow right underneath his eye right here, getting that Rembrandt feel. So here we go. We're going to back you up 3 feet again. So back to the wall where you were. Keep going, right there. Let's go. And we're going to change the light's positioning to paramount. Perfect. Sorry, we don't have an extra switcher. It's just us two. Okay, so the light's pretty much coming from above now. Raise it up just a little bit higher. Okay. So take a shot, and this is going to be a paramount light. So look forward. Also known as, if anybody could answer for me, what is this also called?
Butterfly.
Great. Butterfly. Why? Because we can see the butterfly under his nose. Paramount, also called butterfly. So here we go. We have 2 different styles, or almost 3 different styles of lighting, Alex. So we have paramount or butterfly, Rembrandt, and loop. And the loop was when he was a little bit closer to the walls as well. So if you wanted to do a loop, and this is a good question. If you wanted to do a loop and you wanted the wall to be black again, what would you have to do? Because the wall is gray in this picture. And if I feather my light, I make it Rembrandt. I don't want Rembrandt. I want loop lighting, but I want the light in the background to be black. What do I do?
You move more from the background.
Absolutely. So if I wanted to do loop lighting, which that means the light was still going to go towards the background, I have to move even further from the background, or bring the light closer to Alex so that it can change the exposure. So we'll do something fun now. What we're going to do is we're going to use the inverse square law. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually move the light back. I'm going to light up Alex and the wall. Okay. And this is going to be fun because here you're going to see the real magic happen on the inverse square law. We're going to move the light all the way back. So in essence, no, you're going to go against the wall, Alex. So we move the light all the way back and put Alex against the wall. And we'll look at the shot we're about to get right now. So 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, the image got darker, but the light that's hitting Alex is now the same power that's hitting the wall. So because I moved the light away from him and the backdrop, it now doesn't make much of a difference for the light that's hitting the wall and the light that's hitting his face. So this is really important. And what I was trying to teach you guys is that this light source, if you look at it here on me, is going to be so much brighter than it is on him. However, because the inverse square law works in this manner, I'm going to be lit the brightest, which means when you expose for me, all of that gets darker. So we have to learn that. That's the key thing. If anybody leaves here with any knowledge, it would be understanding the inverse square law, that the closer the light is to the subject and the brighter it is, and the exposure on this subject dictates what's behind them depending on the distance to the wall. Okay. So if anybody ever asks me, hey, so what's like your preferred setup for anything, for interviews, for photo shoots, for headshots? I want to be at least 6 feet from any wall, at minimum 6 feet from any wall. We're talking about like, if we were here, I want them like sit like right here for me. And you can take like 1 foot back. So I want them no closer than this, ever. Why? Because if he gets closer to the wall, I cannot manipulate the wall's lighting because the light will hit him the same way it hits the wall because he's so close to it. So I want to cause a separation so that however I light him, I can manipulate it in any which way I want to. So let's add a light. So we have our key light, and I'll go ahead and make it Rembrandt again. We're going to make it look cool.
Just a question. Like
Sure.
how do you make sure you always achieve that Rembrandt look? Like what angle do you have to be at to
That's a
get
good
that?
question. I don't know if you could see it really well. So
Yeah.
basically, you want to be at a 45 from the face. That's why I got this shot for you guys. You want to angle the light source away, so that way the light falls into his face at an angle. So that way the nose casts that shadow and that triangle underneath his eye. So that's
Mm.
pretty much what we're looking for, is making sure that, actually, you know what? I could actually move this camera. Hold on. I think I can move a camera over and get another look here. Oh, it's the power? Is that the power? Here, and then get it from this side. I'm gonna add another light so you guys can see him like a little more directly in front. And then turn this guy on. Let's see what we can do here. Just turning on. Okay, take a seat, Alex. Let me see if I can see you. Yeah, I'll activate it right now. Take a seat. Cool. Look straight for me. Perfect. All right, look straight. Nice. So this is kind of like how I want the light to fall. You see that right there? That happens when we are up at a nice 45-degree angle above, coming up down, and it's away from him. But keep in mind that the light is, as far as distance is concerned, it's only about a foot this way, but it's the sideways like fall off light that makes that difference. So when he's looking straight, you get that really nice like cinematic look. Like if that doesn't look cinematic, like look at that, look at the camera. Like look at this one. So if he was looking at this camera and I wanted that same Rembrandt, like I'm pushing this forward, I'm pushing this right a little bit, and that should be it right around here. Boom. So that's nice cinematic look, one light. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a light source to be his rim light. So I'll do that. So look straight again, Alex. Look straight. And you guys could ask questions while we're moving lights around.
You said rim light. What's a rim?
That's what I'm going to add right now. So a rim light is going to separate the subject to the background. So this is the light I'm going to add right now.
The one you have currently is your key light, right?
Yes, that's my key light. So now I'm adding what's called a rim light. So the rim light is usually always behind your subject. Let me change it to, I changed the mode, my bad. Give me 1 second. There it is. So it's usually behind the subject and it usually leaks through. So look straight, Alex. It usually leaks through the side of it, but you're really going to tell how it looks when I take my next picture. Because remember, the actual angle is from this side. So there you go. So this is now a 2-light setup. We have, and that color light could be any color. It could be white, it could be red, it could be whatever color. I'm just using blue so you guys could really see the difference. And this is a great setup, in my opinion, for anybody that's going to do interviews, is to have a nice Rembrandt or loop lighting on the person, and then have a nice rim light that's opposing that light. Usually the rim light is not on the same side as the key light. So look straight again. So I'll try to take this shot here. You smiled now?
I need
Hmm.
some smiling ones. I was looking angry.
Got you.
Low
So
key.
usually it's not on the same side as the key light. So the preferred look is for it to be on the opposite side. You guys could tell the difference here. I would prefer that one over the other one. So I'll go ahead and move it back. And that's not all. We added the rim light. Now we could add a background light. So I'm going to add a background light now. Let me go full.
If that blue light was white, wouldn't it almost like sandwich the black light?
What do you mean by sandwich?
Because you would have blue, that blue would turn into white, and then you would have your black, and then your white again from your key light.
Oh, you're talking about checkerboard lighting. So that's considered checkerboard, where you go from white to black. So from light to shadow to light to shadow. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Is that like a desired look, or is that just like preference?
So checkerboard is a style of lighting. So it's pretty much
Mhm.
like everything what we're doing right now. It's pretty much whatever you want to do, you can do. So it's kind of like split lighting with a rim light. You know, it's basically split lighting with a rim light. Or it could be Rembrandt with a rim light. You could still be considered checkerboard. So checkerboard is just light, dark, light, dark. So I'll go ahead and do a 3 light setup, which would look something like this.
Is there a specific use case for checkerboard lighting?
It's mostly in photography and it's mostly for like fashion or trying to tell a story. But I'm not sure if I would use it for anything other than fashion or some kind of editorial look. But that's what I'm getting now. Let me change it. And the cool thing is you can change the hue and saturation on these RGBs. They could be anything. If I do complementary, I do like a teal, something like this.
Alex is getting free headshots today.
Yes, sir. So that's a cool little look there if you wanted to change it. And again, the reason why you're getting the halo effect is because the light is closer to the background. So if I actually moved it closer to Alex, turn around again. I could actually mitigate that light spill. So again, if you move it away from the backdrop, the spread of the light becomes bigger. So you can kind of see it in this picture here. So when I go here, it's nice and spread. If I get it closer, it gets smaller and smaller in the light source. So that's pretty cool. You could also use a background light like this and just hit the back of his head like this if you really wanted to, and do some, and we're just having fun at this point with 2 lights.
Yeah. Ben asked a question: tube lights or traditional bulb for rim light, asking for your personal preference.
Say that one more time.
Ben is asking tube light or traditional bulb for a rim light, question mark. Ask more
Okay,
for your
okay.
personal
That's a
preference.
good question. So I don't mind the tube light. I don't mind the tube light as a rim light. However, the tube light is limiting. And why? Because we cannot modify the tube light. I think the only thing you could do with the tube light is put it inside like a strip box, like a strip soft box, and that's it. You're pretty much done. So you can't put it in like an octa box. You can't put it in a beauty dish. You can't put it in an umbrella. You can't put it in an umbrella with diffusion and a shoot through. So you're kind of limiting when you're only using a tube light. I mean, it's for a specific desired look. So if you want that look like with the lines in the eyes or get like a little square and do something fun, you can do that as well. But I think that because the light is just a tube and it cannot be modified, it's limited in that aspect. However, that tube can still create amazing things. Like whatever you want to create with it, you can. But I wouldn't use it on a job because I can't put modifiers on it. I can't put umbrellas on it. I can't light 3 people with it. You know, you get a tube light, you're not lighting 3 people with a tube light. That
And
makes sense?
I have a question. When you say rim light, is that also known as like a hair light to separate the background? Or
Absolutely, absolutely. It's called both a rim light and a hair light. But some people don't have hair. So we just call it rim lights to not be disrespectful. Thanks for pointing that out, guys. Now he feels bad. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's called a rim light or a hair light. See, he does have hair. You can see it. Beautiful man. Look at this guy. Yeah, so that was just a few little setups that I wanted to show you guys that we can do just with one light, or adding two, or adding three, or adding some stuff. There's actually a fill light that we can add, because the studio only has two lights and I was using one to light myself with. We don't have access to that light, but a fill light, you could just imagine it's going to be a light that's going to be on this side that's going to fill in the shadows from the other camera. So if you're looking at this, so kind of look straight out, kind of like actually this way. So if you can see the light here, and I'll kind of add one of these RGBs, even though they're going to look terrible right now because they're not modified. Let me change it to white. So look straight at the camera. See, and there's a difference between fill light and no fill light. And you can see where my fill light is, it's right here. So you could fill it in and get a nice look by adding a fill. Now your fill doesn't have to be that strong. Your fill could be a little bit softer and further away, just to give just a little bit of light. There you go. So that way you can still identify where your key light is coming from, which is right here on this side, just hitting that face, and then a soft fill light coming in to give you this look. And I think that's a really cool look as well. I'm really, really happy with that look. And then you can add the rim after. So if you want to add a rim or a hair light, you can go ahead and do that. And I'd probably put it somewhere around here.
That light that you had in the bag that was making that blue circular form, what was that called?
The blue what? I'm sorry?
The blue light that you had making that circular form on the background, was that like your
Oh
background?
yeah, that's this right here. So I have these little Godox, not Godox, these small rig RGB lights. These are pretty cool. These are called the RC60 color. I'll put them right here in front of your face. So these little battery these things are battery powered. They're amazing. I forget how much they are. They're like 200 something. They're not too expensive.
And then the term,
but they're awesome. Awesome. I use these all the time, and you can put a battery pack on them and they'll last like twice as long. And they last about an hour, I think, or 40 minutes on full power. But as you can see, this is at 3%. I'm at 3%. Here I am at 20%. So you can tell it's a good amount of light. So here's a cool look. Let's change the hue to something warmer.
And I guess because we're shooting mostly in church, and it's most likely going to be interviews where we're shooting, maybe something different. What would you say would be your essential like lights, like bare bone, like this is how to get some good interview lighting in a just
So
say
the reason why I'm showing you all of these options is so you can kind of make that choice, right? So the reason why I have 3 different lights and showing you 3 different angles and 3 different use cases is so you can make your own light up, right? So if I was at a church, it would depend on how the church looks. If the stage lighting there looks good, do I want to shoot from the back of the stage? Do I want to shoot in front of the church with the stage in the background because it has nice lights in the background? So I want to identify what part of the church looks good and pleasing to the viewer, and I'll position my subject there, making sure that I have enough space between the subject and that background, exposed for the background the way you want it to look first, and then I'm going to add light to the subject after that. So actually we can talk about that stuff now and then get into the Q&A on pictures and show me different pictures and stuff. Here, let me set myself back up. I think you're good for now, Alex. I don't know if this is even in focus. You could focus it for me. But here, I'll sit here so I can look at some of the pictures and see what's up. Yeah, so you guys have any questions you want to hit real quick? Because I was trying to make sure I give you guys enough time for Q&A. I just wanted to show you guys some examples of using a few lights and moving them around your subject.
when you have a room like that's very orange colored, maybe like due to old-fashioned light bulbs, is there a way or a manner that you present your lighting, or do you just leave the room entirely?
So that's a perfect question. Alex, turn the lights back on, the ones that we had here. So I actually had them turn the lights off You could turn these back on, so I had him turn these off, but these are on. These are the same ones you're probably dealing with, these orange tungsten warm lights. What did I do? I shut everything off, turn it off. I don't even want to have those on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a light that hits my background, and then I'm going to add a light on my subject. And then I'm going to decide whether I want to use a fill light on that subject or a rim light on that subject. But at the end of the day, you get to control the light when it's only your lights on. If you can't turn off those lights, then you have to make your lights more powerful. So that way you can mitigate that orange light in the room, like the ambient. So that's what I was saying. If you expose for the room first, you kind of have a great like starting point. So what I always do is I look at my room, I see what I can expose for. And like if I don't want it too bright, I'll bring up my aperture to, f8, because I don't want to see the room that bright. And then my subject is going to be dark, of course. But once I add that light source on my subject, I'm going to separate him from that background, and it's going to look amazing. It's kind of hard to explain without being in that room, but expose for your background where you want it at, and then add a light onto your subject. I think that'll probably be like the easiest way to get to a pleasing image. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense now. What if they make like a, let's say like a backdrop type of thing, like for church events? How would I make sure that that backdrop is fully lit up to where the point that you can see it, but also, kind of get that cinematic look on the people, the families in front of
So
that?
what I'm going to do is I'm going to use on-camera flash for that. Why? Because it's the most powerful out of using these lights. I'm not going to set this big old thing on, on a stand and put it in front of the booth or whatever you're putting it on and have them for pictures. I'm talking about pictures. I would use an on-camera flash. I would face it directly up, and I would use this little flag. Do I have one? I might have one with me, but this is like my go-to setup, and I'll post some pictures that I've done with this exact flag. No, I don't have it with me. Do you have one of those little triangle flags that go over the stroke? No. Let me see if I can find it right now, and we can share my screen. Flash. Share my screen. Whenever yep. And then let me drag it over. Pretty much looks something like this guy. This guy, like, really, you'd be surprised how many weddings I've done where I got paid like $3,000 for, and I used this exact setup. That was it. My camera and that thing. Let me see if I can pull up a picture that I took. Let me see my last wedding, and I'll show you how that came out. You guys can ask me questions while I'm looking for the wedding picture.
What was that product called again? The one you have up right now?
That is like a little flag. I'll try to find the Amazon link for it.
So basically, you would just recommend to turn off all the lights in the room and just use basically that thing, the
Yep.
that thing.
Mm-hmm. Or because it's a flash, it's going to be a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a wedding now. Give me a second.
And as far as soft boxes, what would you recommend? I guess should be like a first soft box you should get, or I'm sorry, like diffuser. Like, should it be a soft box? Should it be like which that be?
So it's going to depend on your light. However, my recommendation is the bigger, the softer. So it depends on like what you want to achieve, right? Like what you want your softbox to be. Okay, here, I found the light. See this picture here? This picture was done with that same exact little soft, that little flag that I just showed you guys. Like all of these pictures were done with it. So I exposed for my background. I changed the power of my light source to match them. And I take a shot, properly exposing them, and then my background being where it wants it to be. So this is with that little light source on top. These are just from a random wedding. Like I just picked a random wedding that I shot. But this will give you a great idea of how that little flag over that speed light will make the people look that are in front of you. Like that's what I'm getting with, let me see, I can't see it that well. I'm trying to see if I can move. Can I move it? Yeah. With that guy right there, I get this picture right here. That's it. My camera and that speed light with that little guy. Sorry, the screen is so far from me that I can't see where I'm at. Here you go. And I think this is one of the most powerful setups that a lot of photographers don't even know about. All of these pictures are from with using that on-camera little speed light with that little flag.
And then the one that you just showed us, that would be best to use in a darker room than like using something like this with just a like a diffuser cap on it.
Let me see it real quick.
It's just like a speed light with like a little diffuser cap on it that you just put over the thing.
Okay, I'll explain why that isn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I like the other one is because the other one also hits the ceiling. See, the one you're using kind of goes
Yeah.
forward.
Correct.
The one I'm using hits the ceiling and then sends, you can put the picture, camera two. So it hits the ceiling, which then falls down with soft light.
Mm.
And then the flag itself reflects a good portion of that light forward. That's why I'm getting those looks. I'm getting these looks because I'm also hitting the ceiling. Here you go. Go back to 3 for a second. See, I'm getting that look because I hit ceiling and then a good amount that goes straight to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So even if I like point this upwards and still use the diffuser, it wouldn't have the same effect as that one, right?
It looks like it maybe, but you're diffusing the upward one. Like it's diffusing
Okay.
it. The one that I have doesn't diffuse it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a reflector. See, there's
Okay.
a difference. You're using a diffusion, which cuts the amount of light getting produced from your light source. I'm using a reflector.
Okay.
Mine is reflecting the light. Here, let me see if I can show it to you guys again. Oh, you know what? Let me just.
Because I'm doing a wedding on this Saturday actually, but it's inside of a I'm not gonna say it's dark. It's a well lit room.
Mhm.
Uh
Order this right now,
uh-huh.
and it's gonna change your life. Like I
That
guarantee.
one.
You order this thing, not this exact one. I have a better one for you. You
Mm-hmm.
order this. You put the on-camera speed light on it. You expose for the room first.
Mm-hmm.
Make the room darker than your subject. Then this light will hit the ceiling. That will give you a nice fall off coming down, as
Mm-hmm.
well as reflecting that little white reflector towards the front, whoever's in front of your camera.
Correct.
Like
Well,
this is the setup. If you guys started doing this setup, it would change your game forever.
would it take into account that it's gonna be like in a gym, so it's gonna be like 30-foot walls, 40-foot walls?
Okay, I mean here's the thing. Depends on what color or what material the ceiling is. Because if
Uh
the ceiling is like white or metallic or anything like that, you'll still get
yeah, I think it's
some fall
metallic.
off. You're still gonna get it. If it's black, then it's kind of useless, but you still get a really nice reflector off of that speed light.
Gotcha.
If that makes
Okay.
sense.
So even though the
Yeah.
room is well lit, you would recommend to use the one that you showed.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because you'll still, here's the thing, you want to make them look three-dimensional. In
Mm-hmm.
order for them to look three-dimensional, they have to be like a little bit brighter than the background, and then they kind of pop away from that background. Let me see
Gotcha.
if I can find another wedding I did. Because here's a room that's well lit. Here's a room that was well lit, and I still used my reflector. Here, this will work. So here's a room that was well lit, but I still used the reflector. And you're able to get these pictures with like pretty much everything lit up well. And whoever's in front of the camera is gonna get that light source directly from my camera. Like whoever I'm in front of is gonna get the most amount of light. And this is an open look. It's an open room. It's wide open. The window's there. I'm getting a bunch of sunlight. The light is hitting from above, but I'm still using that on-camera flash to give you that extra pop on your subject to be able to have them kind of like separate themselves from the background just a little bit. So that's why you're able to get them a little brighter. If I didn't have this light, I wish I had one without this light so you could really see the difference, but they wouldn't pop the way they do without that light. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I did appreciate it.
Yeah, that makes
Awesome.
sense. Hey Eddie, I've got some pictures.
Yeah, let's do it.
Would you like me to share my screen or?
Yeah, share the screen. I'll look at it from right here.
Okay, cool. Got you. Let me adjust this. But man, how do you guys feel so far? This has been like
We'll leave it empty. It's
a
fine.
wealth of knowledge that Eddie has just been dumping on us.
Yeah, we're gonna do Q&A after this, because that'll be fun too.
Okay, cool.
Dude, this is actually really sick. I've been shooting for years, and some of the stuff is super useful for my next shoots. Like, because lighting is something that I've been trying to master because I know it's like one of the most important things for an image. Okay,
All right, let's see.
looking good.
Who's that good looking dude, huh? Okay, because I do see like nice strong shadows, I'm gonna guess you still use a softbox, but you used the egg crates on your face for sure, because it's like very pointed at you, and you didn't light up your couch, which means it's probably like a 2 by 3 foot softbox. It could be an octabox in front of you on the left side, but I want to say it's smaller because you do light up your couch a little bit, but the fall off is nice, so it has to be pretty big. I'm gonna guess 2 by 3 softbox on the left side and a 2 by 2 or 2 by 3 on the right side. I could kind of see it poking in,
Yeah.
but this is two lights coming at you, and it looks like ambient light behind you. Whatever that is lit up behind you was lit up already, and you might have added that light on the right side that's kind of hitting that door and that ceiling somewhere over there, or that might be practical. I'm not sure.
hmm Yeah, the background, that's practical. These are like just lights that they had there.
Mm-hmm.
This is that softbox. The key is, I think it was an Octobox, right, Max?
It's like a 3 foot circular softbox from
Mm-hmm.
Aperture. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
With
one
the
of
egg
those.
crate, right? With the egg crate.
Yes, with the
Yeah.
yeah, with
Yeah,
the yeah.
yeah. Because I can tell you didn't spread on the couch. I'm looking at even your hands aren't exposed as much as your faces because
Right.
it's like shooting it tight. It's tight in there. It looks
hmm
great.
Yeah, and then this light, this color is shooting up. So this is blue going into the
I thought that blue light was coming from the left side of the room.
got
Like you
you.
see how the left side of the room is lit blue on the
Yeah.
left? I thought it was practical on the left side.
Yeah.
Like
That's
yeah.
cool.
Let's go to the next one. Let me see.
That's cool.
Okay, so you have here a paramount light that's hitting straight down, and that's a hard light, so that's a reflector. There's no modifier on that thing. That's coming straight down. It could be a Magmon or a beauty dish, but it looks tight. That's straight up paramount all the way down. Then you have a red gel on the right side of the subject, hitting your subject as well as the backdrop, but the backdrop is also red, because if not, that dark shadow would have been darker. So that's a red backdrop or orange. I don't know if they color graded it, with a red gel on the back, hitting the side fill, and you have some kind of gobo, or you use the flag to give you those shadows. I'm gonna guess, I don't know. I'm gonna guess gobo. I'm gonna guess gobo with some kind of design that you softened up. Is
Okay.
that yours or is that somebody else's?
No, these next few are randoms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that right there is a one light coming straight down. That's why you see his shirt. I can tell by the shadows of his shirt how it comes straight down. So that light's straight above him, straight down, small light source, because you see all the harsh shadows under his neck, his shirt, his arms. Then you have a red fill coming in from the right side, hitting him directly on his cheek and his arms. But he has a red backdrop and a gobo hitting that red backdrop with some kind of design.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's about
Yeah,
a three light.
that's good. I would have thought that maybe this was just all lit up red and maybe like a white backdrop, but you saying that it's red makes
No,
sense.
it's not. Yes, it's not a white backdrop. The way I know is because those dark shadows would actually desaturate the red. It wouldn't look red anymore, but it still looks red dark. But that means that the backdrop is actually red.
Mhm.
Jose
Okay.
said you're the FBI lighting, Eddie.
At this point. Okay, so this was pretty fun. This was fun. So this is again one paramount light straight directly above him. That's why his the front side of the hat is on. But you might be fooled because the neck of his is lit up as well, which means he has a rim light that's most likely a strip softbox, because it hits the top of his head all the way down to the bottom of his hip on the left side. So it's a strip softbox back there. So it's two lights, and then you have one light underneath, or they digitally darkened or vignetted that background. because the way the background looks digital to me. That doesn't look like a normal fall off of light. That looks like they like darkened it in such a way that the computer did it, because the light wouldn't have like converted that way.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna guess that's a vignette or like a fake background. Like the background originally was white, and then they added that black thing after.
Okay.
Okay, this is fun. So this is a lot of practical lighting. It almost looks AI, so I don't know how accurate this is, but you're gonna have one white light from the left side hitting the left side of his face. Then, of course, you have your fill orange light on the right side. So this is a complete split light setup. However, that right side light is further back than the left side light. Why? How do I know? Because it doesn't hit the eye shadow. Like you see how that eye shadow is still dark? That
Hmm.
means that it's further back and higher up. Because that his eyebrow is casting that shadow underneath his eye. That tells me that that light is further back and higher up, and the light that's in front of him is still high up, but it's closer to the front. So the light on the left side is probably directly in front of him at a 45-degree angle, hitting the left side of his body. The right light is further back. So almost a rim light, almost a fill light. It's kind of in the middle. And then practical behind him.
Gotcha.
Ooh, this is nice. I actually know the photographer. This Lindsay, or this was Wallace, Polymathic. This is one
To
of them
be
too.
honest, I don't know. I found it on Pinterest.
Yeah. I think I know this photographer. So this one's cool because this is three lights. You would think it's only two, because you have the key light coming in from the right side, lighting up his whole body. It lights up his whole body. That tells me it's a large umbrella with diffusion, probably a 6-foot umbrella or 7-foot umbrella with diffusion. On the left side of his body, it could be a small light source because I see a small rim on his face, but I do not see it on his body, and barely on the floor casting shadows. So it's going to be a soft light coming from behind, kind of aimed more towards his head than the bottom part. That's why you see the fall off of shadows where his feet are in the chair. And then on the background, they have another light that does hit the background. That's another big soft light. That could be a scrim, a 8x8 scrim that's lighting up the background, him and everything. And they still added a left light, which is an extra large umbrella with diffusion on the right, and a small rim light on the left side. I have a few pictures like this. I've done this setup before. See if I could find one.
Cool. And then these are for Max.
Oh, cool. Okay. So this is like a 2 light setup, and you're using a light in the background as like a little bit of accent right underneath them. So you have definitely round diffuser, because I can see by the catch lights. So that's a nice little trick. If you guys really want to look at what kind of light people are using, if you zoom in, can you zoom into light? I don't know if you can, but you can see a round. Yeah. You get all the way in there. You can see that round little diffusion there. That's the light source. I could actually see another light source creeping in there. I don't know if you're using 2 light sources on the right side. It's possible, because I see like a second light source. Or it's a practical light that was next to him that was just there. So that's why it's reflecting into his eye. And then, or it could be that same light that's hitting the background, that bottom underneath him. Tell me, come on, Max. Don't leave it
You
in
gotta get
suspense.
it, bro. You got it now. I was it's a window. I was just trying to enhance the natural
So
uh
you added a white to the you added a light to the window.
no, I was it so there was a window on his, I guess it's our right side.
Yeah, when we're looking at it right side. Yep.
Yeah, and I just added a light to kind of enhance the natural because that's how it kind of looked already. Uh
Yeah. I could
yeah.
see, you could see it. So that's how you guys can tell that there was 2 light sources. As soon as you zoomed in, I can tell there was 2 light sources.
Mm,
And then you do have a fill on the left side, but it could also be the wall bouncing light. I don't know how far the wall is behind you on the left side, but it could be
yeah.
a fill light or it could be the wall, either one, because it's nice and soft.
Yeah, it was a fill. It was meant to be a rim light, but the room is so small.
You
It was
couldn't get
tricky.
the.
It's tricky
And
to get.
that white light that's under him in the back, was that added, or that's like
That
from
was added.
that was added? Yep. Looks
Yeah.
good. Awesome. Okay, so this is probably window, and I'll say that because of the reflection on that poster. You can see it's a window. If you zoom into the eyes, if you see a second light source, I'll tell you you also use the light source. No, ooh, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is just straight window. and then it's nice because your window behind you gives you the rim light you want. So I think you were really happy with the way this looked and kind of just left it like that. Maybe you add a little bit on the left side, but it looks window to me because of that reflection. I could be wrong because that reflection could be further away, and you used the octabox, and that's why it's round, and the window is further away, and it's tricking me with the reflection.
Yeah, I just use one light setup, and I really like the back. I use the
Yeah.
a key light, and I really like the just the back lighting of the
And how
window.
far was that window? That one that I see right there.
I was about like maybe 3 feet.
So you
It
were
was
still getting some light from that window then? You were still getting some light.
yeah, yeah. It was overexposed, but like this room was tight as well. I couldn't fit any more lighting, to be honest.
It looks clean. What I would have done is let that light fill her in, and then I would have gave her a fill because it looks a little dark for women. That's what I was telling you. With women, you have to light them up
Mm,
because you can see every crease on that girl's face right now. You know what
right.
I mean? And they
Mm,
just don't like that. Not that it matters like to us, but it matters to them sometimes. But good
yeah.
job.
Thanks, man.
All right, cool.
That was
Well,
Wait,
fun.
oh,
quick question about what you said. You said you want to put more light on women? You said?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do just one light. So I
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
just sorry, let me get here. So the reason why I wouldn't do one light is because then you're gonna have that shadow hitting the other side and you'll see all of their imperfections on their face. And you
Okay.
just want to always make them look, as nice as possible.
Yeah. So the less shadows, the better for women.
The less shadows, the better, yeah. Unless it specifically calls for not having shadows. I mean,
Hmm.
having shadows, like some of the interview stuff that he did. He wanted shadows, then that's cool. It just depends on what you want. But once you know how to shape the light with the modifier, and once you know what position you want to make them look good, you can do whatever you want, right? Like you could only break the rules when you know them, right? If you don't know them, then it's like, all right, you have no idea what you're doing. You can't break a rule that you don't know. So definitely
Correct.
learn the rules and then you can break them.
So in that instance, it kind of followed the theme since it was like a cinematic interview type of feel.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I bet like if you could have put a fill light in there, would you have put one in there, Max?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I like the shadow in there, but I never thought about that. Like you're right, women don't like that, but I mean she ain't gonna see the video. So
Yeah. Well, there you go.
yeah.
But yeah, it's up to you. That's what I'm saying. Like Max knows a fill light would look nicer on her, but he just likes the shadow. It's up to him. He can do whatever he wants. That's the cool thing about this. Like it's creative. Like you get to do what you want, but you don't really get to play in that realm until you know the rules, and then you get to break and bend them all. You know.
yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, are there any more questions from anybody? Now that we've got,
This could be overwhelming for a lot of you guys, and I'm not expecting you guys to memorize or remember any of this, but it's more or less like the overall arching theme of the more you know about light, the more you can control it, and the more you can control it, the more you can get the desired look you want. Like that's what you're walking away with. Like you don't have to remember anything. Like what was that? Was it Paramount? Was it Rembrandt? What did he say about the fill? Rim light, hair light. What? Don't worry about it. You could study that stuff later. What I really want you guys to walk away with is the more I learn about lighting, the more I can get the desired look that I want from the image that I'm trying to take. And that's the objective, is trying to get what you want and not being freaked out every time you guys walk into a room. You're like, the lighting here is terrible. What am I going to do? No, I walk into a room excited because I'm like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So when you guys have that knowledge and you're able to use that knowledge, you can get whatever look you want, especially when you have the right gear. Start small, start with two LED lights. I started off with 60-watt lights. They're like $100. Like the Godoxes are dope. $10, I think, for 60-watt Godox lights. You get yourself two of those, two soft boxes, two stands. You just started a business. Like you could just do pretty much everything that Max just showed you guys that he just did with two lights. So yeah, man.
100%. Really cool stuff. Anyone else? Anyone else got a question?
Now's the time, guys. Now's the time. And no question's a dumb one either, because sometimes you might think it's dumb, but a lot of people might want it answered as well. So go ahead and ask it.
Right.
You guys got me here.
So true.
Before I forget, were you able to get a name on that flash thingy?
Oh, yeah. Let me,
Before I
when
forget.
people are trying to figure out what questions they want to ask, I'll get you the Amazon link right now.
Okay, now you're good. You're good. I just feel like it would help me on Saturday.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna change your life. I'm telling you.
All right, guys, I have to head out. I gotta go to church to set up something. But I just want to say thank you, Eddie. Man,
Share my screen. Share my
this
number
is
three real quick.
super valuable, super valuable.
Uh-huh.
So thank you, and make sure you guys ask your questions. But no, I learned a ton of stuff, so I appreciate it, and I hope you
I
guys have a good
appreciate
rest
you
of your
guys.
call.
So this is the same exact one I
Sorry,
use. It
guys.
has silver on one side and white on the other. So if you wanted to add more light, like if you're outside, you can use the silver one. But if you're inside, use the white one because it's a little bit softer. But that right there, a 2-pack, that's what you want to get. That's the one I use right there. So you could go ahead and look it up on your phone real quick and just put that in your cart.
Gotcha. And
How
then
much
you
is that?
said
I can't see from here. How much is that? Like
12
15,
something.
$12. Come on, $12 gonna make you 1,200. Let's go.
And then you said if you're inside, use which one? The
If I
silver?
what?
If you're inside, use the silver one or the white one?
No, if I'm inside, I'm using white. If I'm outside, I'll use silver. But you could also use a reflector. It also looks nice, like an actual reflector if you're outside.
Yeah.
Um, just have either like someone hold it for you or whatever. But I love using reflectors outside. I'll see if I could find one of my
Oh,
graduation picture I just
yeah, I
did in
think
here.
I think I found it, the one you're talking about right here.
Yeah, go for it.
Appreciate it.
What are some weights for light stands? I don't have any C stands, but I know that weights help a lot.
Yeah, so if you're outside, you definitely want to put C stands on your lighting, even if you're inside. For example, go to camera 2 real quick so they can see this. So this one right here is on a stand, but it's on a sandbag. This thing right here. See if you can see it before this thing falls. See? So that's a great example of why we use these big sandbags. So I took it off, and within like 5 seconds, that thing was gonna fall. So definitely use sandbags on your C stands. So the other stands that you have, like these, you don't necessarily need a C stand because your light is not booming over. So the C stand booms the light over, that causes it to like tip over. Here, I'll move this one into the. It's hard to see it, but let me turn the light on. But it's a regular sandbag. I go with 20 pounds or better. 20-pound sandbag or better. So I think you can see it there. Can they see it? So the sandbag goes on the biggest leg, and the biggest leg points towards wherever you're booming. So if you're booming this way, big leg, sandbag. Cool? And the C stand's like 140. C stand, I think, is like 140 for a good one. Get yourself a C stand. You'll never buy another stand again. Like you could just use a C stand, you'll be good. This is more for production, like for in-house. And you can't get a Paramount without a C stand. So if you wanted to do this, like you're not doing this lighting setup ever with one of those light stands. Like it's not going to happen. But this you can get with a C stand. So definitely get yourself C stands. If you're going to take this serious and you're going to start charging, get yourself 2 C stands, 2 lights, 2 or 3 modifiers, so you guys could play around with different looks. Cool. You go back to camera 1.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I know that was a lot of awesome questions. So really great stuff. And I know Max had to hop off, but I mean, we're so grateful to Eddie for taking the time to be with us and just pour out so much wisdom, so much knowledge. We want to bless him. So if you guys feel in your heart to donate or to give, you guys can do so through this link. And yeah, continue to just message in the chat, be active, ask your questions. Eddie's in the community already, so you can even tag him. You can tag anybody in there. You just have to use the at symbol. But we're super grateful for everything. And yeah, Eddie, you have any final words before we hop off?
No, man, you can put number 3. Basically, this is like my starting kit for any kind of hot lights, like any kind of lights. So if you guys do this one, I mean, you're pretty much well off with doing interviews, doing anything pretty much, even music videos. Stay on 3. I just have to look because I can't see. So yeah, it's 2 lights, comes with 2 soft boxes, comes with 2 stands. Great starting point. Also comes with gels, so you could use the gels to change the colors. But for $340, for $340 for 2 light stands, gels, and everything, I think you're pretty good. If anybody wants to screenshot that, I'll leave it up for another 5 seconds. But definitely, 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 definitely. This is the lighting kit that I started with. Now I upgraded. Yeah, I do have RGBs. I have different, higher wattage, like the one you see over here. Go to camera two. Like the one on this one, that's 150 watts. So it's the same brand. It's just a 150-watt light. So it's a little bit bigger and it produces more light, double, almost triple the light as a 60-watt one. But yeah, definitely once you guys really get a hang of this, I think that the more lights you have, the different variations, the better you guys are going to be able to control it and play with it. Again, we focused on lighting and just the concepts of lighting, but this pretty much is like a great starting point for you guys to just take off with whatever you guys just got and just start playing with it. Like if you implement it and if you play with it, you're going to understand it so much more than just watching this class over.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. You guys got to go out, experiment, see what works, see what you like, see what you don't like, and just start learning. So, thank you so much, Eddie. And yeah, guys, like we said, the community's open for questions, for always comments, and whatever you guys want to learn more about. Just be vocal with us, and we'll continue to have more calls like this. I'm sure it's not the last time we'll see Eddie, hopefully. So, yeah, guys, this has been amazing. And we'll go ahead and hop off. So have a good one,
I
everybody.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You
Eddie.
guys are
Good
awesome.
one, guys.
Appreciate it.